immediately I decided that I wanted to explore the PhD route, I immediately started to acquire information. As I kept searching, I stumbled upon the Department of Primary Care Health Sciences. So immediately I saw thermal imaging. It was exactly the one I wanted to do.
How did you know about this funding? Did someone tell you?
A set of projects were collated across the medical sciences division. And so departments would interview candidates and select candidates for each of the projects. There were about 30 projects. My project was one of the projects that were listed. 2 days after, I went back to my email. I checked the email I sent. I said I didn't attach my CV. I resent the email, attached my CV. And the same day, I got a response.
Where were you when you got the offer?
So I was...
Welcome to the ViVa, the podcast that makes research easy, simple, and accessible. I am Sam Ejapon. Today, we are not talking about nematodes or plastics or even hydrogen. We are talking about how to get into a PhD program and even how to get funding. Our guest today did not only Cambridge, but is preparing to do his PhD in primary healthcare at the University of Oxford. He's not just preparing, but he also won one of the most prestigious scholarships in his field. This scholarship is called the Medical Research Council iCASE Enterprise Scholarship. Welcome, Dr. Akingbola.
Thank you very much, Sam, for the invitation and the introduction.
Okay, so let's dig right in.
All right.
Where were you when you got the offer?
So I was at a friend's place. So I got the two offers separately, the admission offer and the funding. So I got the admission offer at home several days or like 2 weeks after I did the admission interview. But because I kind of knew that I would likely get the offer, I already started
the admission.
The admission. I already started to prepare for the funding interview because for me that was going to be very important because it was the most competitive part of my application. So I got the admission offer in my room, but for the funding offer, I got it when I was outside my house. I was actually at a friend's place, and when I got the offer, I couldn't talk because I was very shocked. So I knew, I had some confidence that I could get the funding, but because of so many reasons which I would explain later, I wasn't entirely sure. And is
this real? Is this email real?
So honestly, and again, I didn't expect them to reach out a day after the interview. A day after the funding interview, I was not expecting it. I thought they would likely take, and that day was a Friday.
Okay.
So I thought they would probably come the following. No, I did the interview on Thursday. It came on Friday. I thought it would come.
Let's not jump the gun.
Okay.
Tell me, how did you even find the program? Because, bro, we get plenty programs for Oxford, and I know you did population health in Cambridge. So, how you find this program set?
So, there's a little bit of backstory to that. So, but first of all, I have a background in medicine and surgery in my undergrad, and in Cambridge I came to do a Master's of Philosophy in Population Health Sciences, right? So I wasn't actually considering to do a PhD, actually, because I kind of felt like I am not a PhD material, you get. So, but I can remember in the third week of November, and so I just decided to explore. I started to check PhD because, of course, that was PhD application periods.
Yeah.
Right? So I decided to. So although before that time, I had started to change my mind bit by bit. Some factors already made me start changing my mind bit by bit.
Immigration be part of them, man.
Not really, but I was just. So the major factor was the fact that before I used to think that I would want to do have a career trajectory in clinical medicine. But I began to realize that I wasn't really interested in clinical medicine, that I actually was interested in research and working in industry, you understand, especially around health technology and the like. So I was torn between still going after my clinical medicine career or just diverting completely. So it was a few weeks towards November that I made the decision that, okay, do you know what? Let me check what is out there. So if I were to pursue a non-clinical career, I need to develop skills. I need to also develop some capacity, you understand, that will make me competitive in the job market. And also, that was when I started changing my mind towards a PhD. And so I can remember in the third week of November, I decided to explore. So I went to the University of Oxford sites. I saw, I checked the different departments. I saw the PhD project they had. I wasn't really interested in them. I checked across so many departments in few days. I combed almost every page in the website. I didn't find one that if you wake me up by 1 a.m. I would gladly jump up to work on. I didn't find one. So as I kept searching, I stumbled upon the Department of Primary Care Health Sciences. So when I stumbled upon the department, I saw their list of projects. Then just at the tail end of the site, I saw the MRC iCASE project. I had never heard of it before then. And so I decided to check it, and I saw a list of special projects under the department that were for that funding. And as I browsed through the list of projects, I came across this particular project, which was on thermal imaging of the inner cancer you get for pandemic preparedness. So immediately I saw thermal imaging, I saw inner cancer, and especially I saw pandemic preparedness. I just knew that this is a project that I was interested in because I've always been interested in infectious diseases and pandemic preparedness research, you understand. And so I always very easily resonate with projects that have to do with pandemic preparedness. And immediately I saw it, it was exactly the one I wanted to do. So that was exactly how I found it. So the most important thing in all of this I've said is, immediately I decided that I wanted to explore the PhD route. I immediately started to acquire information.
Exactly.
And I combed several departments, several pages. And one of the very interesting things to note is that I saw so many good projects in atypical departments. For example, in the Department of Engineering, there are so many good health projects. In Department of Statistics, a very good health project that I could have also applied for, you understand? So, and I think that was quite enlightening for me also, because I think so many people don't usually do very deep search before they make their options.
Yeah. Wow. That's the lesson in there. Like, key searching for the information and applying exactly what you want. But I'm curious, how did you know about this funding? Did someone tell you?
So interestingly, no one told me. I mean, it was part of my search that I came across the funding, and because the project was eligible to compete for the funding, so I had to apply to the project to get the funding, and so the project caught my attention first. Before I even knew anything about the funding there. So
there was an interest in the project.
Yes.
Then the funding came across.
Yes. So the project was already attached to the funding. So the way it is that a set of projects were collated across the medical sciences division. And so departments would interview candidates and select candidates for each of the projects. There were about 30 projects. And so those 30 projects would then compete for 8 funding slots. You understand? So that my project was one of the projects that were listed to compete for the funding slots, but I had to get.
And that was 8 funding slots.
8.
We will come to that.
All right.
Take us through your application, and what did you have to submit, and what actually took the time when you applied.
Yeah. All right. So when I came across the project, the first thing I decided to do was send an email to the supervisors.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And interestingly, I sent the first email, I didn't get a response. And because that was the project I was very interested in, so I was just waiting for a response. I knew that I was a very good fit for the project. I really
tell you say be very good.
So that's interesting because as I say pandemic preparedness, I saw all of the things, the objectives of the project.
Mm-hmm.
God, I fell in love with the project. So I feel like I fell so much in love.
I can see it in your eye whilst you have been speaking.
So much in love with the project to the point that, and one of the reasons why I fell in love with it was because I felt like I was a very good fit. All of the things that the project aimed to achieve, I also was interested in every single one of them. The project is likely going to make me use machine learning, and I was already interested in machine learning at that time. You get, so it was just perfect for me. So I sent an email first to the two supervisors. No reply. God. I was saying, oh my God.
The radio silence.
I'm telling you that, is it because I was sending it? Because I was sending an email 3rd week of November, and admission was going to close 1st week of December. So I was thinking, are they already overwhelmed?
Wait, so you didn't know about the program until the 3rd week, until 1 week to it?
To it closing. Because I was not 100% interested, but I had already started changing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So when I decided that, okay, I want to explore this pathway, it was already like 1 week to deadline. So 2 days after, I went back to my email. I checked the email I sent. I thought I didn't attach my CV. I resent the email, attached my CV. And the same day, I got a response.
So the CV did the trick.
So I'm guessing. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's the reminder, because apparently my main supervisor was very busy. You get, so I'm sure she likely did not see it, but at the second time that I sent it, she saw it, and as she saw it, immediately she responded, and the response was very positive and encouraging. But she told me, she made a statement. She said that Adewunmi, this program admission will be very competitive. This funding especially will be extremely competitive, and there is no guarantee that anyone will get the funding. You get. And my response to IME was that yes, that I have done very short reading about the funding, and I think that
you qualify.
No, and as I said, I think that I'm not scared to compete. I've always competed. So I think I have an addiction for tough competition, for tough and competitive application. So I am not worried at all, because that was how much I liked the project. I was ready.
Wow.
I was ready.
So the offer came.
Yes. So I submitted. So I had a call with her.
Yeah.
We spoke. She told me more about the project. I told her that she don't worry. Because at that time I had consumed a lot of things about the project.
So you had all your proposal, like every application.
Yes.
Document.
So at that time. So immediately I sent the first email, I started writing my application. I had written my personal statements. I had contacted my
references.
My references, yeah. I had contacted them. They had started preparing the reference, because I was on their neck. I said, this one must done.
You must get it.
I must get this one. Then immediately she responded, and then she said that okay, after we had a call, and she said, okay, I can send a proposal. I said, I've started writing the proposal. The following day, I sent the proposal. I'm telling you, I didn't sleep for like 3 days. I was on my toes. I did the proposal. I sent it to her. She didn't have any comments, because she was. I'd like to think that she was impressed. You get, so she didn't have any comment, and she told me that I can go ahead to submit it. You get, so I remember that I submitted that application. So just today was Friday. Yeah. It was going to close on Monday. So I submitted it on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So I submitted it. I got to the interview stage for the offer. I had another call with her. I did a mock presentation. Then I did it, and then I got the offer.
Okay. Now, you don't take us to interviews, so make I ask you, how was it? And how did you even prepare for it?
So, when I was in medical school, because I used to do a lot of freelancing gigs, right? So, especially at that time, I was working as a business development manager and community manager for a blockchain company. So I usually do a lot of interviews. You get, so in fact, in 2022, I did over 70 interviews.
Oh man!
You get, just with international blockchain companies. So since then, I've gotten very used to doing interviews. So I think that all of those interviews up until this one that I did, you get, were really, really helpful. But one thing that was also very helpful was that I made sure to give myself so much information about the admission, the department, and even the funding. You understand? So one thing I did was I went to check all of the people that had received the funding.
Yeah.
I checked from when they started the funding up onto the current year.
Don't be small research you do now.
My bro, I analyzed every single one of them's profile before they got the funding, because I needed to have a picture of who I need to be to get the funding. And so I checked all of them profiles. For some of them, I reached out to them on LinkedIn. We had a few calls, and you get, so I did that. So that entire process gave me enough knowledge.
All preparing for the interview.
Yes, for that interview alone. So that process gave me enough understanding of the funding, you understand, and what I can likely expect in the interview. And after then, I developed questions for myself. I developed like 12 questions. So I for the questions, I also developed my responses, and then I practiced them. I made sure I understood basic things. For example, I made sure I understood my motivation. To want to do the PhD, my motivation to want to do the PhD on that funding. Because, of course, I mean, I could do the PhD on any other funding. But why that funding particularly? Understand? So I needed to understand my motivation very well and be able to clearly communicate it. And then to also be able to communicate why that research project. Because the funding is for the research project. So why I need to convince the funders why they should fund the project. So I just made sure that I understood key aspects that will serve as the foundation for my responses in the interview. And I think that was really helpful. Now, the last and important thing that I also did was, so because I like research, and one of the concepts in research that I have started to imbibe in my own lifestyle is peer review. You understand? So what I did was, I have friends doing PhDs. So I called one of my friends doing a PhD at Oxford, one at Cambridge, one at Indiana University, another one doing a research fellowship in Mayo Clinic. Yes, I called all of them together. And another of my friend doing a PhD at University of Tasmania in Australia, I called all of them together. I told them, see guys, I'm going to interview for this admission. I'm going to interview for this funding. I have prepared. I have read about it. These are the links to the sites about the project, about the funding. I need you guys to do a peer review for me. So we got on a call and they asked me questions, deep questions about the methods, potential method of the project, the funding. They really grilled me. In fact, at some point, I felt like, hey, what is the point? Because I wasn't really answering their questions. But so it just opened my eyes. And after the call, I went back to still prepare more. And I think all of these together, my self-preparation and my friend's preparation also really helped in the interview.
Wow. Was there any question that you thought, completely caught you off guard? Even after all this preparation during the interview?
Many.
Tell me one.
The interview was like 25 minutes. So, and I think they asked a total of 10 questions. So, one of the questions that they asked was, that first wanted to shake me. So they asked about questions. They asked about my motivation.
Exactly.
Why
those
I
are easy.
Do the projects you get. And again, because this time there were already a list of 30 projects, and all 30 of us were competing for 8 slots. And even in the 8 slots, 30% were only for international students. So I was pretty much competing for like 1 out of 2 slots out of 8 slots. So I needed to also make a strong case for the project, why the project should be funded. So I answered that because I already prepared for that. But one of the questions that wanted to catch me off guard was, they asked me that which biomedical innovation has impressed me recently. Hi. I said, hi.
What did you say?
So immediately, I remembered one particular paper that I wrote last year on mRNA vaccines, you understand? Yeah. And then immediately my answer was the mRNA technology. And they asked why. And I said, my reason is because it was based on this mRNA platform that I was developed in the last 30 to 50 years, that were able to develop the COVID vaccine in less than 1 year.
Wow.
You get, and I don't know, I'm not sure, but I could sense that one of the interviewers
Googled it,
tried,
and
probably Googled it to confirm, and it likely turned out to be right. I'm not sure, but I was just trying to read the room, but I think it was verified, and it turned out to be right. That question almost caught me off guard, but thankfully it was towards the end.
But that's the same question that got you into, validated your point.
Yeah, that's probably one of the questions that must have really given me a high ranking in a way.
You were able to, get all the questions right. And I like the fact that you did your research, you had a battery of questions for yourself, as well as you did some mock interview. Yeah. And the question that actually want to throw you off guard is the one that, was your anchor, if I could put it that way. Looking back, what experience, academic or otherwise, helped you the most?
That is a very good question because while in my case, I would really say I've always been fortunate to have multiple strong fronts. So academically, I'm just there. I'm just there.
Yeah.
But one thing I do is I like to maximize opportunities. Mm-hmm. For example, when I was doing my master's, my MPhil, there was no way I was going to graduate with a distinction. Never. The program was tougher than whatever I had done in my life. But I mean, I did my best to present my research in at least 4 conferences. You get, within and outside Cambridge. You get, even when the research was incomplete, I presented it. An opportunity came up in Cambridge. I nominated my project, and it won the best early career research project that year in Cambridge. So I know how to maximize opportunities as much as possible, and I think that always gives me quite a lot of leverage. So I know that my academic results and academic generally got me into the room. But in the room, one of the things that helped me would have been my extra academic persona. Understand? So the reason why I'm saying this is because at the tail end of the interview, so they asked a question. I'm not sure, but I think that they probably browsed my name on Google, and then they asked me about Health Drive Nigeria. Now, Health Drive Nigeria is the non-profit project that I run in Nigeria, and they asked about Health Drive Nigeria, right? And the interesting thing is, if you browse my full name online, you will see a lot of things about me. You will see my Forbes feature, you will see Cambridge feature, you will see awards, you will see news.
You are the guy.
It's just. I mean, if an opportunity presents itself, it costs me nothing to compete for it. You get, so, and that's really my approach to so many things. So, but if if you browse my full name, you will see so many things, including my affiliation with L-Drive Nigeria. And now, this is why I knew that they browsed. It was because if you browse L-Drive, in L-Drive Nigeria, Google shows that it has closed down. And I think that is a Google glitch, because I don't understand why it only shows that. So they asked me about it, and I told them that is a glitch that I have been battling with Google. You understand? And I told them that we still did projects a few months ago, and all that. So I knew that they searched. So whatever will make anyone search my name, you'd see a lot of things. So I feel like my academic abilities, my academic profile,
so the extra things that you do,
yes,
that really got you the thing,
that I think was also very contributory to getting the funding.
Wow.
Because again, I think these things serve as independent validation of some seriousness. You understand?
Okay. Wow. So please, if you want to know more about him, Google Dr. Adewunmi Akingbola. Let's touch on one of the key things that people feel when they are applying to these big universities. From what you are saying, you didn't even mention you were looking at other universities. You were looking just in Cambridge, looking at all the departments in Cambridge. In Oxford. To be honest with us or with me, did you ever feel you were not good enough for Oxford?
I didn't feel I was not.
There was no imposter syndrome.
There wasn't. And again, I think in retrospect, I think I was just blinded by my interest in the project that I didn't even consider that I could have been rejected.
Yeah.
So I was just blinded by my interest in the project that I just did not see myself being rejected. Never. You get, so it was not enough, because I knew that I was going to give all it would require to get into the program for that project, because I am that interested in the project. So I didn't really feel like what if no, I didn't feel that. And again, so my interest in the project was number one reason. Second reason was because
no voices in your head.
No.
Okay, go on.
No voice. Second reason was because again, it is related to the project. So second was because I knew that I was a fit for the project. You understand? And if my application will be reviewed, I think I would have strongly competed with anybody that would have applied from anywhere else in the world. My application that I submitted would competitively stand side to side with any other application.
What was in this application that makes you so sure?
So it's my experiences, you get. So I'd gathered a lot of experiences. You understand? It's a DPhil in primary healthcare. It has to do with pandemic preparedness. I have a medical.
Are things you've done already.
Yes, I have a medical degree as my undergrad. I have an MPhil in population health sciences.
Built you for this.
Yes, I have done research, a lot of research. I have published papers. I've worked with researchers in the US, in the UK, in different countries in the world. You understand? So I've got an impressive research portfolio. Yet I've done a lot of work. Yet I'd worked hard. So I just knew that I have valid experiences.
Even after the supervisor told you that it's competitive.
Yes.
You still went ahead. And after you reading and be like, they only pick 8 projects. And most of them, I've read about this, that's why, most of them should be UK citizens.
Yes.
And how many slots were for international students?
So from my calculation, because the UKRI said that 30% of the slots should go for international applicants. So from my calculation, at least or at most 2 slots will go to international students. So I'm not 100% sure, but I just tried to find the patterns and find these information.
And you didn't still have any syndrome of that?
At that point, I had. when it dawned on me that I just 2 slots I fight for it. I started.
It humbled you.
Yes, I started.
But still, you knew what you had.
But because I was just blinded by the interest in that project.
Yeah.
So, even when I was considering the possibility of, so very interestingly, the day before the interview, so the week before the interview, I did one final stage job interview, and the job is naturally for people with PhD.
Okay.
I decided to apply because they did not explicitly say if you don't have a PhD, don't apply.
This guy get too much.
Okay, so I said
too much audacity.
So I was working then, but I saw the job and I liked it. I said, no, let me try. Okay. So as I got to the last stage was a 1 hour interview in London. So when I went, I felt like I didn't really do well in the interview, and of course I was rejected at the final stage.
Yeah.
And that was a week before this funding interview. So I was already exhausted because I had spent a lot of time preparing for that one. So the days leading up to this funding interview, I felt like I
didn't have the energy.
Yes, I was exhausted already. So the day before the interview, I did not prepare because I felt like if all these things that I have prepared for, if it's not enough for me to get the funding, I don't think this preparation the day before would help. So I slept, I was okay, I was calm, I was not anxious, I was not scared, I had no feeling, no emotion. I was just there.
Well, they normally say that the things that you don't chase are those that chase you back. And the calmness and, the chillness you have, some people see it through. So if you would have gone so eager wanting it,
yes, you're very,
they might be
true.
like,
You're very right. Because when I entered the interview, I was smiling. I was not feeling any.
You're not tensed. You're
not tensed. So in fact, when I was introducing myself, it's a formal interview. I was introduced myself with my full name and my nickname. So they laughed and they asked me why. They asked me why do I have that nickname. I told them that it's just something that happened.
What is that nickname?
Tesla.
Dr. Tesla.
Yeah. So I said, I am so and so, and then some people call me Tesla, and they laughed. I said, yeah. And they asked me why, and I said, my first year, this and this and this. So my friends started calling me Tesla, and since then, I have taken the nickname, and so they laughed. And so
did this same happen when you were doing your master's in testing?
Yes,
I remember you told me that.
The same thing happened.
Okay.
So yeah, so okay. I feel like it really helps calm the entire
atmosphere, the environment
in the interview for me, and even with them, and so we're just able to continue on that note. So I mean,
well, thank you very much for sharing all this with us. From the moment you received the email, the offer, and walking us through all this.
Yeah.
Right. If a student came to you and then asked you this question, I want to get a fully funded, PhD. What would you tell that student? Can you break it down in three pieces of advice? Yeah.
So first advice is that the student should have the right motivation. You get, and I emphasize right motivation because for several people they can have various kind of reasons why they want to apply for a PhD. So since a PhD is essentially going to take 4 years of your life, you need to be sure that this is what you want to do for the next 3 to 4 years. Number one, you need to be sure that you are going to remain motivated enough to get to the finishing line. You get, and even beyond. So you need to have the right motivation. For me, my motivation has consistently been capacity building and self-development. So one of the major influence that really changed my mind towards exploring for a PhD was that I realized that I needed to build 2 attributes: independence and critical thinking. So a lot of people would argue with me that I likely have these 2, but I know that I do not. If I have not subjected myself to formal training to gain these 2 attributes, I cannot assume that I have them. You understand? So I want to develop independence. I want to develop critical thinking such that I'll be able to drive a research forward from the beginning to the end. Because which is actually very difficult than most people think it is. You understand? So that was my motivation. And I think that people should identify and make sure they have the right motivation, because that is essentially what would keep them going. Now, I have not done a PhD before, you understand, but I've gone to medical school, you understand, and medical school was 6 years. So if you were not interested in clinical medicine to a threshold, if you did not have some degree of perseverance and consistency, you would not be able to finish medical school. You understand? So, I liken that experience to a typical PhD experience. So I just know that since I want to develop myself and I want to build these attributes, these skills, I should subject myself to an intensive training program like a PhD. That was my motivation. That's number one. Number two, people should have motivation. We should have information. You get, and this is perhaps one of the areas that I've seen so many people not pay attention to. Information. Now, for me, I like to find patterns. You get, because these patterns are the ones that inform my decisions and strategies. So when I want to do something, when I want to apply for something, I comb every single resource online. You get, so I go as far as checking Reddit forums for people that have likely applied for that thing before in the past and whatever they have to say or whatever their experience was. You understand? So I made sure I gathered substantial information about the program, the DPhil in primary healthcare, the department, the medical sciences division, and the MRC iCASE funding itself. You understand? As I mentioned earlier, I combed their sites. I saw all the people that had collected, that had gotten the funding since when they started giving the funding. I analyzed all of them profiles before they entered their DPhil. And that is very hard because I had to go to LinkedIn pages. I went to their undergrad pages. I saw so many blogs about different people. I read every single one. I understood. I had a picture of who people were before they got the funding. You understand? So it just in a way helped me to prepare better. You understand? For the funding too, I read a lot of Reddit posts. In fact, I read about the funding application process in other schools because I could barely find any information for Oxford. So I read about the funding information for King's College, for Cambridge. So I had a lot of information about it. So that was really very helpful. Also, part of the information that I had was why I was able to deduce that at most two slots would go to international students. Now, I'm not 100% correct because it's just my deduction, but it made me to understand the scale of the competition that my supervisor spoke about. You understand? When I had that realization, I knew that there was a lot of work to be done. That was number two. Yeah. Number three is have a plan. Yes, have a plan. For me, I was lucky, or I am lucky, because I have a general long-term plan. You get, and it's easy for so many things to fit inside it because it's a general, comprehensive, consistent long-term plan. So I didn't need to plan to apply for a PhD. You get, because my plan generally can accommodate anything. Can accommodate PhD, clinical residency, anything. You get, so it works. So I think people should have a plan, you get, that would work for them, and they should stick to the plan. For example, if you're going to apply for a PhD, you need to understand where you are at now, right? Understand what you need to get, who you need to be to apply for a PhD. You understand? So, if for example, if you need to have basic research skills, basic research knowledge and skills, you need to have a plan to get to acquire that. If you need to have a master's degree, have a plan to apply for a master's degree that's relevant for likely PhD area that you'd want to venture into. Just have a plan. Be realistic with your plan. You understand? And make sure you work towards them. Break them down into sub aspects and work towards them. Once you have these three things, they may sound very abstract, and honestly, they sound very abstract. But if you critically look at them, you have a plan, you have information, and you have the right motivation. I think that you will be able to I mean, I don't want to say you would get into the program that you want to get into, all of, but I think you would do well. I think you will not be stuck. You will not be stranded anywhere.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akingbola. This is where time will take us, and we really appreciate you sharing all these tips and your experience to getting this prestigious scholarship.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sam. And again, it's not the most precious funding in my field.
There are more.
I don't even know what the most precious funding in my field is, but I think the MRC iCASE is a really good funding because I'm very happy about it because it's a very comprehensive funding. And
how are you feeling about your PhD start in Oxford?
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the positives you get, because of course there's a possibility that I would do some computer vision, which as I am now, I do not have the skills. You get what? I'm already working towards it. For example, I'm going to start a data science internship this month. So just to prepare towards it. Okay. Yeah, but I'm looking at the positives. You get, and the positives are what I stand to gain at the end of the program, which is going to be which is 4 years. You understand? So that's what I am majorly looking at. And also, remember I said that when I decided that I was not going to go the clinical medicine pathway anymore, I then started exploring to work in the industry. Now, one of the reasons why I liked the projects and the funding was because with the funding, I get to work with an industrial partner, and our industrial partner is the National Physical Laboratory. So they are also funding the project. They have their funding for the project too, and it's very good because I get to experience
the research and then the industry.
Yes, the research side and the industry experience too. You get which is very, very, which is exactly what I need to delve into the industry area, you get, of my research after the PhD. So that's really, really what I'm focusing on. The experiences that I stand to have, I stand to gain, and when I get into it, I'll start experiencing the not so positive areas. But I'm sure it's
be ready, brace yourself for it.
I know. I'm sure it would really stretch me, and honestly, I look forward to it because I look forward to it. I really look forward to it because that is exactly what I want. Like the challenges, that I actually want to experience, because because I'm very big on capacity building and self-development. So once I identify that I am deficient in some areas, I want to always bridge those deficiencies. You get, because I feel like when I became self-aware and up until now, that's part of what has kept me really going. That's part of what has made me relatively competitive for so many things. You get, because I always want to bridge gap. I always want to acquire more skills, acquire more experiences. I don't know when all of this will end. I don't know when I will stop learning. Sometimes I get exhausted, but now that I still have very strong motivation to develop myself, I would always take every opportunity that comes my way to do that. Thank you, brother.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Akingbola.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
So, that was Dr. Adewunmi Akingbola, Cambridge Masters, and soon to be a DPhil student at the University of Oxford. And he is also a proof that the path to fully funded postgraduate study is possible. He shared with us some few advice. One is that get the right motivation, right? He is passionate about what he's doing, and at least that is motivation enough. He also indicated that get all the information you need before you apply. For him, he combed through all the websites that there is. He contacted the people that needed contacting and did the hard work of reading all these publications to prepare himself for the application itself, as well as the interview. He also tells us to have a plan. Have a plan, make it realistic, make sure it's realistic, break it down so that it's achievable, and work towards it. So these are the things that Dr. Akingbola leaves with us. And I hope that as the scholarship season begins, you will take his advice and be successful in your exam, in your scholarships. This is the ViVa, and I am Sam Ejapon. Thank you for listening.